Welcome to Houston Sports Talk with your host, Robert Land.
Hey, thanks for checking into the best Houston sports podcast. Finally, the Astros get a W. Welcome to our live Astros-Rangers Game 3 postgame show. We, of course, finally get a W in this series. Robert with Stephen Kerr, 70 years of journalism between the two of us, and we are Astros lifers. So we've been through the grind with you guys. And Stephen, it was good to be home, sweet home at Globe Life Park.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's funny you say that because Chandler Rome of The Athletic stole my headline. He said, "Road, sweet road." But, either way, it's the same because the Astros, they own Globe Life Park. They won 6 out of 7 at Globe Life Field this season. And now you can make it 7 of 8 because they did it again to get back in this series. Boy, that there wasn't a bigger win than tonight, I think, at least to this point, Robert, because you go down 3-0 in this series, it's all but over. It's only one team has ever come back. It's just not likely to happen. So, man, what a big win.
This Rangers team is pesky, Stephen. It's going to be a hard cockroach to kill. Texas gets those big cockroaches, and this seems like one of them right here.
Well, if you put a crocodile up against a cockroach, I'll take the crocodile anytime, at least tonight. Javier, he gave up those, back-to-back hits that resulted in 2 runs. But other than that, he was spectacular again. In the start against Minnesota in the postseason, he had 5 scoreless innings, giving up just 1 hit, striking out 9. And, he was good again tonight. I mean, Javier is, you can talk about your great postseason pitchers, but he has got a 1.91 ERA in 37 2/3 postseason innings during his career. And that's coming into tonight's game. He was 5-1. Well, now he's 6-1. I mean, this guy, you talk about being a number 3 starter, but he's been pitching like an ace in this postseason.
El Reptile. Yeah, we got to talk more about him as we go along. Also got to say happy birthday to Brandy. Get in the comments. Thanks, Brandy, for listening and watching. We want to hear from you as this thing unfolds, Stephen. And you and I, we do this every game. We unpack it a little bit, pick it up in the second inning. Astros are the 27 Yankees when they score first. So a great sign when they get a bases loaded wild pitch. Maldi shocks Astros social media with a 2-run single. But Stephen, even when Maldi does good, he still manages to get a little peeved. He gets me a little bit peeved here when he tries to take an extra base, made the last out at second. Maldi, come on. You're not, this isn't the second coming of Ricky Henderson out on the base. No. Just take your first base and let's settle for the three runs right there and don't make an extra out. Cause I mean, outs in this series obviously matter.
Yeah, they certainly do. Unfortunately, there were 2 outs. At least the run counted. You can be thankful for that. But yeah, I don't know why Maldi was doing that. Because first of all, he's not a fast runner. If it was somebody like Kyle Tucker, someone like that, maybe. But I didn't understand that either. Thankfully, it didn't come back to haunt them. But you had to kind of be scratching your head with that.
Yeah, he was yelling over the dugout, check the replay. And I'm just thinking, like, Maldi, I know you're trying to make up for the fact that you got caught and the replay is going to be close. But, I mean, it was still, it was obvious out.
And let's go back to how it started because it was the weirdest thing. Alvarez gets hit on his foot. Max Scherzer threw that ball. It was so out of control, so off that it goes behind Alvarez's front leg before hitting his foot. And, it smarted a little bit, but not enough to keep him out, certainly. But that's how it got started. It was kind of, a wild thing with a hit by pitch, then a wild pitch, and then a single to get your runs. But you know what? The way the Astros have struggled with runners in scoring position or, with clutch hitting, man, we'll take them any way we can get them, Robert.
Yeah, the only way you can really get to Jordan is throw him out at the plate, hit him on the foot, maybe turn a double into rob him of a home run, turn a double into a single. He's what an incredible series he has. But we got to mention though Dubon's single in that rally because Dusty got it right, Stephen. He put him in the lineup instead of Chaz, and boy, did that work out.
It did, Robert. And I have to tell you, I was a little surprised when I saw the lineup, because you and I, we get the lineup several hours before the game. And I thought for sure he would put Chas McCormick in there because Chaz, like the Astros, owned Globe Life Field. He batted .500 there this season. He was 11 for 22. He had 6 extra base hits. He had 2 homers. Well, they didn't even need him tonight because Mauricio Dubon came in and did his part.
Third inning, Altuve's bat wakes up from the coma. What did you say to Altuve, Stephen? Did you give him a pep talk? He looked good today.
Well, nobody knows this, Robert, but I gave him a rabbit's foot. And if that's what works, that's what works. No, when Altuve gets his bat going, I mean, even some of the hard outs he made, were hard outs. In fact, I'll tell you what, the Astros hit 15 balls tonight that were at least 95 miles per hour. They were making some hard contact. And that homer to left, it was definitely some hard contact.
Yeah, there was so many near misses, warning track, fly balls, all that stuff. You were just panicking, and I'm going to get to some of those instances. But Altuve now 4 home runs behind Manny Ramirez for most in postseason history.
Yeah,
I feel like with the new rounds in baseball and all the new postseason games, they need to start, instead of mentioning how many home runs, it just should be mentioned home runs per at bat in the postseason. That should be the gold standard. Same with RBIs, because there was just, the Babe Ruths and the Mickey Mantles and all that just didn't have those postseason games. They didn't even have LCSs back then, much less LDSs.
Yeah, and you could say that really about just any record as far as baseball is concerned, with the way they keep expanding the playoffs and expanding the number of games per round and so forth. But yeah, Jose Altuve, 25 postseason home runs. Manny Ramirez has 29. It's certainly reachable.
So let's go to the 4th inning. Jose Abreu doubles. Good to see his bat in this series show up. And then Tucker still can't get a hit at this point, but at least moves Abreu to third with less than 2 out. Productive at bat by Tuck because Mauricio Dubon, boy, what a game. Runner on third base. You're hoping he just gets a sac fly, fielder's choice. Scherzer's got 2 strikes on him. And then Stephen Dubon lays off 2 breaking pitches at his feet before he laces that single to score the run.
Yeah, what a great at-bat by Mauricio Dubon. And again, Dusty looking like a genius because putting him in there, it's amazing the timing of some of these things. Just when you need a pick-me-up, you get Mauricio Dubon. We wouldn't be saying that about this time last year, the way he was hitting, but you can't say that now. What a big at-bat that was.
Hello to Albert. He is now joining us. He says hello to both of us. So let's go to the 5th inning. Cristian Javier's postseason scoreless streak ends with a 2-run shot, 20 1/3 innings. Stephen, I said it during the game. I went out there between innings. I checked his blood pressure. He doesn't have a blood pressure. It's non-existent.
He doesn't. And, I was thinking about that, Robert. If you talk about how the Astros pitching staff is made up as far as persona goes, you have Justin Verlander, who's just focused, intense, really into things, but doesn't carry himself on emotion so much. Framber definitely does. Cristian Javier, you could be ahead 5-0 or down 10-0, and the guy is just, I think, the other day, this was in between games, Martin Maldonado comes up to Cristian Javier and jokingly takes his arm and checks his pulse, for the same reason, just to make sure the guy's breathing.
Yep. Yeah, and the other part about Cristian Javier is he's now the 7th game pitcher if you need a 7th game pitcher, and there's nobody I would rather have on the mound. But I am concerned if we get to a 6th game and it's a must win because that's Framber and I'm worried about him.
Yeah. Well, you have to just, the thing is you got to get there first. If you don't get there, it doesn't matter. So you just cross your bridge when you come to it and hope that Framber can finally put together a good game. But, Javier definitely put the Astros in a position to take this series where it should be. It's becoming a series again, Robert. This is kind of what we thought it would be at the beginning, kind of back and forth, which is kind of what this game was. But thankfully, the Astros answered every time the Rangers tried to come back, tried to get up.
Yeah, we're going to need the calm and cool of Jose Urquidy. It's a real series, I think, if he does what I've seen him do over the years. And we got to say what's up, Rosenberg, because they have checked in the comments. Keep giving us stuff. We want to hear from you guys. Anyway, let's go to the 6th inning. Taveras robs Jordan of a home run. Fantastic defensive play. At that point, you're like hoping, oh no, I hope that run doesn't matter in this game. You know, even with the lead, you're like, well, that run could matter sometime. But bottom 6, Tuck misplays that ball that was over his head and right. It was a 95% catch probability for Tucker. Ouch.
Yeah.
And I was starting to panic because I'm thinking, okay, they got the big, catch in center field, stealing Jordan. And then maybe something bad's going to happen here. And then Stephen, Uncle Mike pretty much matches Taveras with that catch. For Mike, that was a Taveras-like catch. I mean, the guy's like 40 years old, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, come on, Uncle Mike. We know about his bat, but I didn't know he could field like that. And you saw how he kind of tumbled head over heels on the warning track after making that catch. Wow. That's what I'm talking about. Clutch hitting, sparkling defense. And, I put in my notes, Robert, after that inning when Brantley made that catch, take that, Leody Taveras, because he just matched him. And yeah, the going back to what you were talking about, the ball hit over Tucker's head. It was hit right at him. And I know sometimes, your line of sight can kind of play tricks on you when it's hit that hard right at you. But as you said, 95% catch probability. He definitely should have had that play.
Let's go to the 7th inning. Maldi does it again. He gets a single, Altuve singles, Bregman walks. Some nobody named Jordan just does what he does. Bases loaded single. Immediately looks like a huge deal, especially when Neris gives up Young's second 2-run homer. But the Astros respond again, Stephen, with a Pena RBI single. And that's what they did tonight. Whenever the Rangers shot back, the Astros had an answer.
Well, that's what's been missing in this series, Robert. I mean, pure and simple. When the Astros, when they jump out to a lead and the other team starts to come back, they always seem to have an answer. But, in the first 2 games of this series, other than game 2, they just weren't competitive. So tonight looked way more like the Astros that we're accustomed to seeing.
So let's go to the 9th inning. Jordan gets thrown out at home after Tuck's double. And that was another run that you're hoping, oh no, I hope that's not going to haunt the Astros. Presley walks the leadoff hit. You're like, oh no, here we go. Because Press is, he's had some of these 9th innings, but then he just shuts it down. A double play. You know what I love about double plays in the 9th inning? My heart can start beating again. Yeah,
me too. Because and of course, when he got to 3 balls, I said, don't walk him, Ryan, don't walk him. But of course he doesn't listen to me. He walks him because my biggest fear is, okay, Lowe is coming up and then Young. They burned us twice already because Lowe got on base and Young hit a home run twice in this game, Robert. So that was the last thing you needed. But fortunately, just as he has done, he's now 14 of 14 saves in postseason career for Ryan Presley. He bears down. I want to go back to the 8th inning, though, because, the run that was scored off Brian Abreu actually had somebody score off him. That was the first he's given up in the postseason, Robert, since 2019. That was his first postseason appearance. And it's the first run he's given up since, I don't know, like the early July as far as just in the past. So, man, it is rare that you get a run off Brian Abreu.
Yeah, and really, it's the best case scenario. It's a run that really doesn't matter in this game. He had a big lead. That's a way to just get over that. It's just like the CJ Stroud interception. Remember on Sunday, they throws the interception, the Texans immediately get a fumble. Texans get it back and go down for a touchdown. That's what seemed like happened with the Abreu RBI there or run. Yeah.
So that's just, again, the things that needed to happen happened. And now the Astros are at least back in this series 2-1. You feel a whole lot better with 2-1 because you feel like, especially, they have 2 more games at Globe Life Field. Their home field. I mean, their road field. So, I mean, if they play like this, it definitely could be a series again.
what are they averaging, like 12 runs in the last 4 games at Globe Life now, something like that?
Oh yeah, at least it's something like 59 runs in the last 5 games or something. I think I saw. I kind of glanced at it, but yeah, they definitely know how to score runs at Globe Life. I wish they could do the same in their own ballpark, because if they did have to come back for the last 2 games and they took a 3-2 lead, you got to win at least one of those.
Well, they just need one, and if they can get to a game 7, because Javier's on the mound and he'll take care of it.
There you go. Yep. Thinking positive. That's what we need to do, because they are back in the series. So that's exactly what we need to do.
What are you looking at tomorrow with Urquidy? What do you think you're going to see from him? Because this is a different type of hitting club than we saw with the Twins when he, threw that masterpiece in game 4. And I just feel like this Rangers team, they're different from the Twins, because it's less of an all or nothing lineup than we saw from the Twins. They're hitting singles and doubles, and they're just tough outs.
Oh, they're very tough out. Yeah, it's a much different team. I mean, we saw it. When you thought the Astros were going to get a big lead and hold on, I mean, those guys are going to fight. They are definitely going to fight back. So it is a much different lineup. But I would certainly rather have cool, calm, and collected Urquidy. I actually think I said it right this time without messing up. Then at this moment, Robert, as much as I hate to say it, I'd rather have him in there than Framber against a team like the Rangers in their ballpark. So I like the chances, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be too much easier than this game was tonight either.
Who is the expected pitcher and for the Rangers tomorrow night? Albert's asking that question. I forgot who
they haven't officially announced it, Albert, but it's probably either going to be Dane Dunning or the guy's name is Haney. I can't think of his first name off the top of my head, but it's probably going to be one of those two. I thought maybe it would be John Gray, because he just came. They put him on the roster for this series, but he pitched tonight, so it's probably not going to be him. So I would say it's probably going to be Dunning or Haney.
Yeah, Dunning is a pitch to contact type of guy. He doesn't have like extraordinary stuff, so that's somebody that you feel like you've got a chance to do something against. Max Scherzer, it was weird, because Scherzer we've just been able to handle the last couple of times against the Rangers, and that guy. I still have nightmares of how he shut the Astros down in the 2019 World Series. Remember his back? Remember that his back was bad. Stephen,
how could we forget that?
He was like, was he barely walking or something like that when he faced the Astros at Minute Maid Park? And
well, that's right. And you had to think about that again tonight, Robert, before the game, because he hadn't pitched in 36 days. He had a muscle pull in his shoulder. He wasn't activated in either of the other 2 postseason series. So he comes into tonight, having well over a month off. He had a simulated game, I think, where he threw 69 pitches last week, but he hadn't seen any game action since sometime in September. So you had to hope that it would be that way. And the other thing that kind of gave you confidence, the last time he faced the Astros in Globe Life Field was in September when he was still pitching. He gave up 7 runs in 3 innings. So those were the things you just had to hope that the Astros could just jump on him early. I mean, the ball was moving pretty well for him, but obviously the rust was there because his control certainly was. I mean, like, as I said, when he hit Alvarez in the foot, my goodness, that ball was one of the worst thrown pitches I think I've ever seen at any level in a long time.
Here's the other thing that makes me feel like, hey, the Astros have maybe something going for them from heaven, because Rocky, big key for Rocky's career, Rocky Balboa, was his brother, brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And Paulie is now looking down from heaven. Paulie passed away today, unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. That's
and
sad.
So we need a Rocky like comeback. So maybe this is Paulie might be able to help us from here on out.
Well, help us again, Paulie. We're not out of it yet. So yeah, if you're an Astros fan, you're watching the games up there, please throw another one down there, because we need it. We need several more of them. Yeah.
Were you a big fan of Rocky, Stephen? It's Rocky's, the original Rocky, I think, is one of the great movies of all time.
Yeah, that definitely was. And, you kind of thought, well, can they really get away with making as many more as they did? But I tell you what, just about every one of them, Robert, you had to say, I wouldn't say one, each one was better than the last, but they were all good. I mean, that's a rarity when you talk about movies or, rebooting TV shows or whatever. All the Rocky movies were solid.
And Burt Young was one of 4 guys that was in the first 6 Rocky movies. He was not in the original Creed because they said he had died in the original Creed, so they didn't use him for, his character had died, Paulie had died. But he was in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I guess. And the other thing about the Rocky movies was, the end of Rocky ends in a Rocky loss. So we need more of like Rocky 2, Rocky 3. Maybe this is more like Rocky 4 because it seems like the Rangers think they're the big Russian that killed their last opponent.
Yeah, that's probably the best. Yeah, that's a great analogy right there. And they were certainly fighting like it, or they tried to anyway. So maybe a few more Rocky 4s, and the Astros could take this series.
But the good news is the offense is back. A couple of the bats have reappeared. You got some help, like I said earlier, from Abreu, Altuve, a little bit of help from Jeremy Pena. We haven't seen do a ton. So some of the guys may be coming alive, and hopefully these guys can keep it going and keep the offense going, because when this Astros team has Altuve going, I just feel like that's the best thing that can happen to him. Is Altuve is just such a key. He's a key regular season. He's a key in the postseason.
Well, he is, because you notice, Robert, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. We can go back and look, but it just seems to me that where Altuve goes, so go the Astros, especially when it's going in the right direction. And this is it. I mean, this is what gets them back in the series. This could help them take the series. When the guys who are supposed to be producing are producing, I don't know that anybody can stop this team. I mean, not even the Phillies. And, the Phillies are tearing it up right now. If the Astros, no matter who gets to the World Series, they're probably going to face the Phillies. And that is one dangerous ball club. But I tell you what, when this Astros offense is clicking, they can keep right up with anybody.
I think the funny thing was the Astros, you thought might have gotten a little bit of split viewing or people going back and forth because the Rockets were playing Wemby, but it seemed like all the Rockets' real players or a lot of their real players, a lot of their starters were sitting tonight. Maybe they wanted to go watch the Astros game or something. It was like no Dylan Brooks, no Van Vliet, no Jalen Green. I mean, they had a bunch of guys sitting tonight. So it was kind of strange. And you're thinking, well, that's good for Astros and Rockets fans, because you can focus more on the Astros game. Wemby seemed kind of bored too out there. He didn't do as much in this game as you were expecting either.
Yeah, and I guess the Spurs rested him the other day when they played the Rockets the first time. So, it is the preseason, but I just wonder how much the NBA is going to take this load management thing seriously. They say they're going to. They're even coming out with studies that show that it doesn't work. But we'll get into the regular season and find out, I guess.
Well, no comments. I thought I would hear for some more people tonight after the dub. But great stuff, Stephen. Thanks everybody out there that is watching, and we'll be back again tomorrow night. It's another night game, Stephen.
Yep, 7 o'clock.
You loving these quick games? This is kind of cool.
Yeah, this game seemed a bit longer, Robert, because there were more pitching changes, especially on the Rangers side. I mean, it seemed a lot longer, but right before I dialed into you, I looked at the clock and it was 10:09 p.m. and I think the game started at 7:04, 7:05 something. So it was only just over 3 hours. It just seemed longer, but yeah, the shorter games, the pitch clock is definitely saving baseball as far when you're talking about the time of games.
No question about it. Everybody knows how I feel. I am vindicated, I feel like, by this season. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow night.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.
Hey, don't forget to support us by subscribing and commenting on YouTube. You can always listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast app. Tell your friends about us and share our show links on social media. Spread the word, everybody. Thanks for listening.